Minnesota is a state in the upper Midwest region of the United States. It is known as the land of 10,000 lakes. Its official motto is L'Étoile du Nord, French for the Star of the North. Of the U.S. states, Minnesota is the 12th largest in area and the 22nd most populous. More than half its residents live in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area, known as the Twin Cities, which is the main political, economic, and cultural hub. Urban centers in Greater Minnesota include Duluth, Mankato, Moorhead, Rochester and St. Cloud. The state's geography is defined by western prairies, now given over to intensive agriculture, deciduous forests in the southeast, now partially cleared, farmed, and settled, and the less populated north woods, used for mining, forestry, and recreation. Minnesota has been inhabited by various indigenous peoples since the woodland period of the 11th century BCE. Between roughly 200 and 500 CE, two areas of the indigenous Hopewell tradition emerged, the Laurel Complex in the north, and Trempealeau Hopewell in the Mississippi River Valley. The subsequent Upper Mississippian culture, consisting of the Oneota people and other Song speakers, lasted through the arrival of Europeans in the 17th century. French explorers and missionaries were the earliest Europeans to enter the region, encountering the Dakota, Ojibwe, and various Anishinaabe tribes. Much of what is now Minnesota formed part of the vast French holding of Louisiana, which the United States purchased in 1803. After several subsequent territorial reorganizations, the Minnesota Territory was admitted to the Union in 1858. Minnesota's growth initially centered on timber, agriculture and railroads. During the mid-19th and early 20th centuries, European immigrants arrived in significant numbers, particularly from Scandinavia, Germany, and Central Europe. A significant influx has been linked to the failed European revolutions of 1848. Minnesota remains a center of Scandinavian, German, and Czech culture, though in the 21st century it has seen increased domestic migration and immigration from Asia, the Horn of Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. In recent decades, Minnesota's economy has diversified significantly, shifting from traditional industries such as agriculture and resource extraction to services and finance. Minnesota's standard of living index is among the highest in the United States, and the state is among the best educated in the nation. The word Minnesota comes from the Dakota name for the Minnesota River, which got its name from one of two words in Dakota, Minnesota, which means clear blue water, or Minnesota, which means cloudy water. Dakota people demonstrated the name to early settlers by dropping milk into water and calling it Minnesota. Many places in the state have similar Dakota names, such as Minnehaha Falls, Minnetonka and Polis. Minnesota is the second northernmost U.S. state and northernmost contiguous state, as the isolated northwest angle in Lake of the Woods County is the only part of the 48 contiguous states north of the 49th parallel. The state is part of the U.S. region known as the Upper Midwest and part of North America's Great Lakes region. It shares a Lake Superior water border with Michigan and a land and water border with Wisconsin to the east. Iowa is to the south. North Dakota and South Dakota are to the west, and the Canadian provinces of Ontario and Manitoba are to the north. With 86,943 square miles, or approximately 2.25% of the United States, Minnesota is the 12th largest state. Minnesota has some of the Earth's oldest rocks, gneiss that are about 3.6 billion years old. About 2.7 billion years ago, basaltic lava poured out of cracks in the floor of the primordial ocean. The remains of this volcanic rock formed the Canadian Shield in northeast Minnesota. The roots of these volcanic mountains and the action of Precambrian seas formed the Iron Range of northern Minnesota. Since a period of volcanism 1.1 billion years ago, Minnesota's geological activity has been more subdued, with no volcanism or mountain formation, but with repeated incursions of the sea, which left behind multiple strata of sedimentary rock. In more recent times, Massive ice sheets at least 1 kilometer thick ravaged the state's landscape and sculpted its terrain. The Wisconsin glaciation left 12,000 years ago. These glaciers covered all of Minnesota except the far southeast, an area characterized by steep hills and streams that cut into the bedrock. This area is known as the driftless zone for its absence of glacial drift. Much of the remainder of the state has 50 feet or more of glacial till left behind as the last glaciers retreated. Gigantic Lake Agassiz formed in the northwest 13,000 years ago. Its flatbed now is the fertile Red River Valley, and its outflow, Glacial River Warren, carved the valley of the Minnesota River and the upper Mississippi downstream from Fort Snelling. Minnesota is